Hi everyone, and welcome back to The Life with the Browns. Today we're not talking about family dinners, moving houses, or new beginnings. No. Today we're stepping into a courtroom where secrets explode, lies collapse, and the man who built his empire on love, faith, and television finally faces the women who once called him husband. They assumed it was merely another day in court. A little drama, a few accusations, maybe even some tears. But what transpired within those four walls stunned the world. Kody Brown walked in with that familiar swagger, the smirk that once charmed millions of viewers. He believed this was nothing more than a family squabble, something he could talk his way out of, as he always had. But what he didn't realize was that the very foundation of his empire was about to ignite. Thus, the judge entered, gavel down, silence spread across the room like a wave. "Mr. Brown," the judge declared, "you are present today on charges of financial fraud, emotional abuse, and the forging of legal documents. You are accused of manipulating 5 women into silence, submission, and sacrifice." And then, the door swung open. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 women entered. Christine, fierce, unflinching, folder of evidence clutched in her hand like a blade. Janelle, calm, calculating, armed with years of financial records like missiles ready to fire. Mary, silent, unreadable, yet her eyes screamed with decades of betrayal. Robin, trembling, torn between love and betrayal, tissue pressed to her hand. And then, the one no one expected, Angela, the secret 5th wife. The gallery gasped. Reporters froze mid-sentence. Social media exploded instantly. Kody exposed, Kody Brown family trial, Hodge 5th wife. Kody turned ghost white. His lips moved, voice cracking. "Angela, you weren't supposed to be here." But she was, and she wasn't alone. Angela carried receipts, marriage licenses, bank statements, business records, emails, every piece of evidence leading back to one man, one manipulator, one so-called patriarch, Kody Brown. The man who built his reputation on family, faith, and love, now standing exposed as a master of deception. Angela's voice was steady, though the tremor of betrayal clung to every word. "I married Kody in 2017. He told me I was the only legal wife, that the others were spiritual commitments. He used my name to open businesses, take out loans, and drain accounts. I didn't even know he was still married to Robin. I didn't know Christine was still in the picture. He lied to all of us." Christine shot up, anger flashing. "He told me the same thing, that I was the last, that we were starting something new. But it was the same lie, again and again." Janelle's voice cut cold. "He instructed me to stay silent. He said questioning him meant questioning God. And when I refused, he shut me out of the accounts." Mary's silence shattered. "He didn't just break our hearts, he broke us, and then he blamed us for it." Robin sobbed. "He promised me I was his future. I left everything for him. And still, he betrayed me." The judge slammed the gavel. "This court isn't here to condemn polygamy. We are here to condemn deceit. And based on what I see, there is plenty." Emails showed Kody's manipulation, playing his wives against each other. Audio recordings caught him admitting to forging Christine's signature. Bank records revealed over $100,000 funneled into shell companies under Angela's name, without her knowledge. The cameras turned. The man who once stood proudly at the center of The Life with the Browns was no longer a patriarch. He was a defendant. His empire of secrets was crumbling, and the wives who once wept behind closed doors now stood united. No longer his companions, no longer his property. They were his accusers, his judges, his reckoning. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Brown, do you have anything to say before I deliver my ruling?" Kody scanned the room, searching desperately for loyalty. But all he saw were the women he once controlled, now, stronger than ever, staring back at him with fire in their eyes. The gavel came down, the world waited, and in that moment, everything changed. The courtroom was suffocating with tension. Reporters shifted uneasily in their seats, pens scratching furiously, cameras clicking like a storm about to break. All eyes fixed on the woman who now stood at the witness stand, Janelle Brown. Unlike the others before her, Janelle didn't tremble, didn't cry. She carried herself with the precision of a woman who had planned this moment for years. Dressed sharply in an olive blazer, she carried with her a thick folder in one hand and a small flash drive in the other, the kind of evidence that could topple an empire. She placed her hand on the Bible, swore the oath, and then sat down. Her eyes didn't scan the room. She didn't look at the crowd, the cameras, or even the judge. Her gaze locked directly on Kody Brown, the man who had once been her partner, her provider, and the supposed leader of their plural family. Her voice, when she spoke, cut through the silence like a blade. "I'm here today not just for myself," she began, her tone cold and steady, "but for everyone who was tricked, deceived, and financially drained by this man." Kody Brown didn't just break hearts, he broke laws. The gallery erupted in hushed whispers. The judge banged her gavel once for silence. Janelle lifted the folder and held it up. "In here," she continued, "are bank records, property, deeds, corporate registrations, and signed documents, all pointing to a pattern of deceit. Kody manipulated our accounts, forged our names, and created shell companies for his own benefit. He didn't just betray us emotionally, he stole from us financially, systematically, year after year." The prosecutor stepped closer. "Mrs. Brown, could you give us a specific example?" Janelle nodded and opened the first page. "In 2020, I discovered a $42,000 withdrawal from our shared family account. That money was transferred into a business called Vision Growth Holdings registered in Utah. Only later did I discover that the account wasn't even mine. It was in Angela's name. She had no idea it existed." Angela gasped from her seat, pressing her trembling hands against her mouth. The room buzzed with disbelief. Janelle pressed on, her voice sharpening. "He borrowed credit cards under my name. He maxed them out. Then, instead of paying the debt, he transferred it to a so-called family investment fund. Except that fund didn't exist. It was nothing more than a smokescreen. When I confronted him, he told me not to worry. He said it was for the future. But that future never came." Christine suddenly stood, unable to contain herself. "He told me the same thing," she shouted. Mary's quiet voice followed, trembling but firm. "So did I." Robin, clutching her tissue, whispered through her tears. "He said it was for us." The judge raised an eyebrow, noting the chorus of betrayal. The prosecutor approached again. "Mrs. Brown, did you give permission for these financial transactions?" "No," Janelle answered firmly. "Did you know your name was being used to secure loans?" "No." "Did you personally benefit from any of these accounts?" Her eyes locked on Kody. "Absolutely not." She then handed the flash drive to the court clerk. On this drive are emails, voice recordings, and signed directives from Kody Brown himself. In one message, he explicitly tells me to lie to the bank about a property loan. He claimed it was for house renovations. In reality, he funneled that money into a failed crypto investment with a man he barely knew. The courtroom gasped. Even the judge's composure cracked as her brows shot upward. "Crypto?" she asked incredulously. Janelle nodded. "Yes, Your Honor, crypto. He gambled away thousands under the guise of securing our future. Except it wasn't our future. It was his fantasy." Kody shifted in his seat, his face flushed, jaw clenched, but still silent under the stern gaze of Judge Harper. The weight of Janelle's testimony pressed into the room like a vice. For years, the public had seen the Browns as a complicated but fascinating family on television. Life with the Browns had been sold as a story of faith, family, and unity. But here, in this courtroom, that glossy image was peeling apart, exposing rot beneath the surface. This wasn't about plural marriage anymore. This was about fraud, about betrayal, about a man who had spun a web so wide it trapped every woman who once trusted him. The prosecutor addressed the judge. "Your Honor, this is not a case of marital dispute. disputes. This is calculated deception that crosses state lines, involves fraudulent business practices, and demonstrates a deliberate intent to mislead. Kody Brown shifted uncomfortably in his seat as Christine rose, fury burning in her eyes. In her hand, she clutched papers she had waited years to reveal. "He forged my signature," she declared, waving a notarized sheet. "This document was used to obtain adoption papers for Robin's children, but I never signed it." Robin's eyes widened. "You didn't?" "No," Christine snapped. "He told me it was harmless, just school paperwork. I trusted him, and it turned out to be filed with the state." The judge examined the document. "This appears identical to your mortgage signature, because it was traced." The prosecution confirmed the finding. A handwriting analyst verified the duplication. Christine's voice cracked, but her resolve held. "He used that forgery to convince a judge I had relinquished my parental rights, without my knowledge." Robin sobbed quietly. "Oh my God, I didn't know." The judge's expression darkened as she looked at Kody. Forged legal documents, misuse of identity, fraud. These are not family disputes. They are felonies. Mary, who had remained quiet, rose slowly and produced a small, dusty journal. "This is my private diary from 2015 to 2021, she said, pressing it to her chest. "It contains conversations, financial notes, passwords, and instructions Kody gave me to keep quiet, about payments or to mislead our accountant. He said we were only spiritual wives, so income didn't have to be reported." Her voice trembled. "I went along because I trusted him, because I trusted the family. But now I realize it wasn't trust, it was control, financial, emotional, legal control." The judge flipped through the pages, her face hardening. This journal documents not love, but a web of deceit designed to divide, confuse, and exploit those closest to him. Kody's attorney jumped up. "Objection. These are personal writings, not verified evidence." The judge's eyes narrowed. "They were voluntarily submitted by a victim. Objection overruled." Angela spoke up. "He promised to handle our taxes. Instead, I received a letter from the IRS. I owed thousands on a company I didn't even know existed." Janelle nodded gravely. "I got that same letter." The prosecutor looked at the judge. "Your Honor, this is no longer a marital matter. This is a clear case of fraud, forgery, and financial abuse." Kody rose, shaking. "I did wrong, but I never meant to hurt anyone. I was trying to build something greater." Christine's reply was ice. "You built a prison." Janelle added sharply, "A house of deceit." Mary's voice cut through, calm but cutting. "A kingdom of manipulation." Angela whispered softly, "And you built it all in our names." Kody sank back, defeated. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. "Mr. Brown, given the overwhelming evidence, this case will be referred to the Federal Financial Crimes Unit. Civil charges will proceed in the meantime. Let me be clear, this is not over." By the final day, the courthouse was swarmed. Reporters, fans, and protesters waited as the fate of Kody's empire hung in the balance. Inside, the wives sat together, no longer rivals, but survivors. Christine, Janelle, Mary, Robin, and Angela, united at last. The judge read her decision. This court finds Kody Brown liable for unauthorized access of accounts, forged legal signatures, and systematic emotional and financial abuse. He is ordered to pay restitution of $864,000 to be divided among the plaintiffs. Gasps filled the room. Robin covered her face. Angela wept silently. The judge continued. "Furthermore, this case will be sent to the Arizona Attorney General for potential criminal charges including fraud, bigamy, and identity falsification." Kody's face drained of color. The women each spoke. Christine said, "This isn't revenge, this is accountability." Janelle added, "It wasn't about plural marriage, it was about power. Today that power ends." Mary's voice was soft but firm. "I lost myself in this marriage, but today I reclaim my voice." Robin wiped a tear. "I believed his lies, but now I believe in myself." Angela whispered, "He broke us in secret. We rebuilt in public." The judge struck the gavel one final time. Court dismissed. Kody was escorted out, his wide and stunned eyes reflecting the reality he could no longer control. Cameras flashed like lightning as the man once hailed as the face of modern polygamy faced real consequences. Behind him, the 5 women walked out, not as cast members of a show, but as warriors. Not as wives, but as truth-tellers. Their solidarity was stronger than the empire he tried to build on deception. In the end, it wasn't the cameras or critics that ended Kody Brown's kingdom. It was the women he underestimated. 5 voices, 1 truth, and finally, justice. The judge leaned back in her chair, her face stony. This court is not here to police polygamy. But what I am hearing today, she said, her tone slow and deliberate, suggests a pattern of manipulation so extensive it cannot be ignored. Mr. Brown, you didn't just betray vows, you may have broken the law. The gallery erupted in murmurs once more. Cameras flashed. Hashtags began lighting up social media screens outside. Kody exposed. Brown family trial. The 5th wife. Kody sat stiffly at the defense table, his empire crumbling around him. The man who once smirked on national television, who once claimed to be the architect of a modern family, now looked small, powerless, cornered. And this was only Janelle's testimony. Mary was still waiting with her own folder. Christine had more receipts. Angela held even more documents that hadn't yet been revealed. The reckoning was far from over. For the Browns, the courtroom wasn't just a place of law. It was the stage where the truth about their lives, about life with the Browns, was finally being exposed to the world.